Hello, welcome to the live stream. Please let me know that the audio is good, the picture is good, and that we are underway, going live now on Instagram. Just let it load up. I have a few things to talk about today, and this is also a Q&A, so please feel free to ask any questions that you like. I'll be fielding questions from YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So if you just type those in the chat wherever you are, you will see it, or I will see it, and I'll answer your questions. So just let me know, first of all, that we're going well for the audio and the visual, and then we'll get started. So let's remove that from the screen. So, all right, Q&A time. So far, there's no questions. I wonder why. Maybe because we've just started the stream. That could be why. So before we get started, I've just been listening to the latest Alpha Vedic podcast where they've got Jason Brashears from Archaics. And man, it's really good so far. I've got to say, like, it's not that I've ever not been a fan of Archaics and Jason Brashears, but I've just never gelled with particular narratives of simulacrum, AI intelligence, and a simulation, because the way I've heard a lot of people talk about it, it seems off to me. And especially not just how they talk about it, but, not just what they talk about, but also how they talk about it. And it just hasn't really gel. But look, this is a really good podcast so far, and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm very interested to talk to Jason at some point myself. I'll generally have different types of questions to ask as a result of how I see things, and what I've found to be missing in this conversation around a simulation, a hologram, because to me, all of it's true. You probably heard me talk about it before, but it's all true, but in the right context. And I feel that there are empowering and disempowering ways to look at that. So if you're just joining, please let me know everything's good with sound. Please let me know everything's good with visuals, and we'll get stuck into the Q&A. So anything that you have to ask, please write it on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, wherever you're watching this. All right, so that's the first thing. I'm like, how far in? Half an hour in. I think it's really good so far. So that's the Alpha Vedic with Bear Lando, Mike Winner, and currently with Jason Brashears. All got on YouTube, thank you. So what else? Oh, repping a shirt at the moment. It's this was from Alex Zek from The Way Forward when he was over in Australia. Legend of a dude, and very much looking forward to catching up with him again when we make it over to the States. So that'll be February next year. We'll be in America, and very much looking forward to that. So I've been liking this shirt. Actually, I like it. Love over fear. Pretty simple message and very powerful. So let's just see if there are any questions here. Everything's perfect. All right, thanks guys. Okay, until you got some questions, I also thought, just quick, I might just play some music. I always play music at the start of streams, me playing guitar. I just haven't got a way to do that with this audio setup yet. I mean, I do. I have to get this studio kind of, built properly. So over the coming streams, you'll see additions here, and I'll be able to play music. But I'm going to play music that I actually wrote years ago, and I'm just going to play a bit for, let's say, a minute, and then I will come back on to some questions. If you got questions, write them on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I'll answer them for you. I'm going to mute my mic because from the last stream, by the way, that stream got cancelled. 3 streams now have been cancelled on Instagram, and the one that I was talking about, multiculturalism, got cut off of everything. That was weird. But everything is always on tombarnett.tv on my website, and also Telegram, same name, and my YouTube, which at the moment is at The Humble Kingdom. So anyway, I'm going to play this track. It's called In My Way, and we'll play a minute or two, and then I'll get into some questions. Also, let me know if the audio is or isn't coming through, please. little bit of flute in there as well. I'll keep playing some more later. That's called In My Way. I wrote that about like 8 years ago. That was my first full studio recording, and I wrote a 16-minute song because that was actually college, and I was like, you had to provide 16 minutes of music, and I was sick of people just writing 3-minute songs, just whining over the same chord progressions and calling it music. I was like, I'm going to write a 16-minute progressive music song. So that was a bit of that. I might play a bit more later. I'll explain it as I go. I'll play it a bit more later. Anyway, any tips on shaking off living in the past once the issue has been identified and accepted? Is it just me now? Guitar sounds mint. Okay, thank you for that. The question, any tips on shaking off living in the past once the issue has been identified and accepted? Yeah, well, look, being identified and accepted is one thing, but there are multiple layers to not just an issue, but multiple layers to us. So oftentimes we're not super aware of where and how deep some of these issues are embedded in us. So we might just become consciously aware of something, but that doesn't mean that we can extract it from the various layers and levels that we are made up of, to keep it just simple. But yeah, look, some tips. Is it just me now? Yes, it is. Because the first thing I would suggest is removing any kind of blame. So shaking off living in the past. So let's say there's an issue, and the issue was like you got taken advantage of, either on a personal level, monetarily, something was stolen from you. And let's say that happened, right? Generally, the first thing that we do is we enter into victim consciousness. And for there to be victim consciousness, there would usually have to be some form of blame, like my coach did this, or I blame my cousin for this, or my father, my mother, my teacher, my church, the guy I got information off of YouTube on, or whatever. I blame them. So the first thing is, in order to exit victim consciousness, we first have to remove blame. So we can keep removing layers and levels of blame until now, as you've alluded to, you've said, it's just me now. It'll be just you when there's no victim consciousness, and therefore as an extension, no blame. So we've now taken away external influence, and now we're just sitting with ourselves. And now we have to decide, we're like, do I want this to continue to run me? Is this serving me or holding me back from not just my potentiality in an external sense, as in, what do I have to give to this world or do in this world? But how deep can I go within myself? Because one essentially is a reflection of the other. So how far you'll go in the world is usually a representative of how deep you'll go into yourself. There's an inversion of that as well, but I'm just talking in terms of what my listeners would probably be, how they would contextualize it. So it was that. Yeah, okay, well, there you go. So on the right track so far. So then what it is like alchemizing it or turning it over. What I mean by that is once we sit with it and where it is, it's pretty easy to feel where something is. You literally just get still with yourself and you're like, all right, so now, Mr. Buggerlugs did this to me. All right, so now I'm going to reframe it. Mr. Buggerlugs did irrelevant. Just get them out. They did whatever they did, but the rest is me. It's me now. So just no blame, no whatever, is what it is. The experience didn't happen to me. It happened for me. So now I'm going to explore the experience. All right. I'm still holding on to the experience. The experience felt what? And the experience felt like I felt violated. So there's no Mr. Buggerlugs anymore. He's gone. There's no blame. Now I'm just sitting with the experience. The experience was I felt violated. Okay, great. Now where, how, what does that feel like? Where do I feel it? And it might be like here, like I felt violated. And there's many different ways you can explore this. What does it taste like? What does it feel like? Does it have a color? Does it have a sound? Is it represented by anything? You can go into all that if you want. But anyway, the point is just like, all right, if this happened, so you could phrase it as a question. If this happened for me, what was it for? So now you're not a victim anymore. You're like, all right, so there's gold in this somewhere. I know it's there. Like life doesn't give me anything that I can't handle. If it happened for me rather than to me, there's got to be a gift in it. There's got to be gold. And if you know to look for it, you'll find it. So then you just sit with it and you're like, all right, so I feel it here. Now, like, let's go into it. I'm not trying to avoid it. I'm not like, ooh, that pain, or, oh, I hate that feeling, that anxiety, that feeling of, unworthiness or shame or anything. You're like, no, I want it. Let's go into it. Let's go into it. So you go and you sit with it and you explore it. Like you might have heard me talk about, I shared a few of those short clips me talking about when I was in depression and I described it as a room, like I'm in this room. And rather than trying to claw my way out of it, eventually I was like, all right, I'm in this room now. Let's see what this room's got. And rather than trying to get out, I went in and I sat with it and I started looking around the room and getting excited. I'm like, what's in this room? What's in it for me? Where's the gift? Where's the gold? What is the gold? Like, and then as you do that, or as I did that, I should say, the room essentially, I went like I metamorphized the room. It wasn't the room anymore, and away went the depression. I kind of like went into it and through it, and the room was no more. I'd gone through like a hero's journey, come out, and it's very powerful. So we can do that with anything. So you will go into that feeling. You will be going, all right, this is happening for me. I feel it. It's here. I'm being tested. Let's have this test. So you willingly accept, you meet it, and then you go into it and you just explore. And because nothing can happen to you, like nothing's happening to you now, you can explore it. You can look at it from all angles. You can feel it from all different senses. And with that, you will find the gift, like always. You will, if you're willing to, you will find. And also ask and you shall receive. If you're not sure, you just ask, what's in it? Like just keep asking. And then with that, you can just either, it might be a conscious decision to let go, or it might just be that it's not even there anymore because you have alchemized that. It's no longer this construct. It's no longer an egregore. Like it's no longer an entity that essentially binds you in some way. You've mastered it essentially. It's disappeared. It's become something else. It's now, it doesn't run you. You own or run it, if you want to look at it that way. And yeah, and that's how you can really come to a lot of personal power through the experiences that are there to allow you to reach that kind of personal power. Because if you're in victim consciousness, you are disempowered. Through this form of exploration, you will become empowered, which is, yeah, it's the way to go. All right, let's see if there's anything on Instagram. That was a good question, by the way. I like that one. Have you come upon the lost octave? No, I have not. Let's come upon that now, even though that sounds kind of sus. The lost octave. I'm guessing it's like a hidden frequency or something, is it? Or is it, oh no, it's a book, is it? The Lost Octave, the I Ching. Stories in the Stars. Sounds like a book. Artist, or it's an album. Okay, right, cool. Okay, no. The Lost Octave music. No, I haven't. I will come across that after I finish this stream. Thank you for the recommendation. Okay, ideas from air and ground without residents' consent. Oh, IDs from air and ground without residents' consent. You've got to rephrase that question. Fire ant eradication program, hiding behind the Biosecurity Act. I've handled that a lot before in detail. I will come back to that, but that's just, there's a lot to go into with that. I just want to go through some, I'm free now after 24 years. It's my room now. Love you, man. Just asked and received. Well done. All right, nice. I like to see something happen in real time. All right, let's just quickly handle this one while others might be asking questions. So as far as this fire ant bullshit stuff, and it's hiding behind the Biosecurity Act and it's trying to essentially spy on people. All right, there's varying levels to this. I can't answer this as in all remedies in a live stream, but I'll give you some thoughts on it that may help. The first is you can start being proactive and noticing. So you can be writing to the companies that are doing this. It is done by companies. It is all privatized. You know that. So just go to the companies, find the companies, go to them. Bring up your concerns. You can essentially make claims against them. They can't hide behind something that contradicts a general right or freedom. Okay, so you just have to find where that is in the acts, the relevant acts, if you want to do it that way. There's also taking drones out of the sky, which isn't hard, and that can be quite a lot of fun. You know, is like I'm not suggesting doing anything like that. I'm just saying that there's a lot more solutions out there than you might think. There are ways to screen your own privacy as well, as in to block the ability for drones to actually access anything that might be private. And then there's just there is the implication. Let me just ask a question first. For there to be predators, right? Under natural law, what does there have to be? For there to be a predator, there must be something else. That something else is prey. Predators don't exist without prey. So if something is invading privacy, it has to mean that there is something that is giving up privacy, and therefore an issue or an energy around that is being created. Now, I'm not suggesting that peeping drones and whatever are not invading your, let's call it privacy. But the question then becomes, what is it to you that is private that is being invaded? Are you laying naked outside and sunbaking in your backyard? Well, you could argue that that's an invasion of privacy. You could also just not give a rat's ass about it, and like, you just got to take this in context. I'm not advocating that this is okay. I'm just saying that in the same context, in the same scenario, you can be prey, and that makes this drone predatory, or you can be empowered and just be like, it makes no difference whatsoever. In fact, you can even put an energy out that inverts that, whereby you are the power and that is the disempowered object, or the people operating it are the disempowered objects, because you're not allowing your essence to be loosed or captured or in any way, because it's without your consent. Now, you may argue, because you could argue, okay, under natural law principles or what have you, that if there is a drone in the sky and I choose to be outside doing my gardening or doing my anything, that I'm consenting to being watched by virtue of I could be deciding to not go outside. So if I go outside, I'm consenting to being watched. And that's true in isolation and in context. But there are greater contexts to this whereby you can operate as the higher power in any dynamic, in which case it is you are going about your business, and anything that wants to watch that business or interfere with it in any kind is made to be the lesser standing. And this works insofar as walking on water. So Jesus walking on water is a parable, and that has several different meanings. One that I often talk about is walking on the seas of commerce. One is that you are walking above the metaphysical line. Another is that you are essentially, like, the offer is that you would sink in water, much like the offer is that if there is a drone and you're outside, it's invading your privacy. But you can turn it over whereby it's the other way around and you are walking on water, or insofar as you are above the standing of the drone, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's capturing, because it's only capturing what you are empowering or allowing it to capture. It may capture a physical representation of you, but not your essence. You have the power to allow that. I know I'm getting a little metaphysical with this, but I'm just saying that there are varying levels upon which we operate in this way. And it's much like, I've given this example a lot of times, and actually when I was on the Alpha Vedic podcast, where I was sitting next to Mike when he was here in Australia, where, as in Mike Winner, not the Mike, I was talking about how Summer is very sensitive and she would always get headaches going through the screening process in airports. And I've told this story a lot of times, but we got to the point where I'm like, look, Summer, we can either, argue the point each time we go through a screening, which we can win, but it's going to take some time. Eventually it lessens in time. It just becomes a right. But oftentimes when you got to go up the chain a bit, unless you make a really good argument in the beginning. Either way, if you go through, because it's really not a big deal, like whatever made the machine, the energy that made the machine is, first of all, man, and it's coming from man's malevolent side, which is not powerful. Okay, malevolent being the opposite of benevolent. So the energy that creates those screening apparatus is a malevolent energy. Now that is obviously nowhere near as powerful as the benevolent energy that made you. So God or life or whatever you want to call it did not make us to be so susceptible that we'll get headaches by going through an airport screening machine. So by presenting yourself in front of a screening machine and not giving consent in any way whatsoever for it to have power, authority, or anything over you, and you beam to it your highest power, your electromagnetic field, you can, and if you do that well, you can disable the machine. If you do it just to the degree that you need to, it will have no bearing. It will not intrude on your personal field and into your being. So she has not, we've gone through, I don't know how many since we first did this exercise together. And we've been through at least more than 10. Like it's more, but I'm going to say at least 10. And she's not had any problems, no headaches, no nothing. And this is from a very sensitive individual. So same principle when it's like, oh, Big Brother's spying on us. It's like, who cares? Who cares? There's an old expression that someone or something is always watching. You know, people are out in public and they're like, oh, like, you know, I'll check and just make sure no one's watching. And then like, I'll dack myself, or I'll like, we can smoke a doobie behind the bus shelter and just looking around. It's like some watching, because beyond what you're even aware of, in a lot of cases, there are other beings around that are beyond the spectrum of light that's visible. There could be a being of some kind standing right there and you don't even know it. Something or someone is always watching, always, whether it be a human being, an animal being, a spectral being, a camera, something that's a technology you don't even know exists. Something's always watching. So by virtue of that, if you just go about your life with that and just get over it and just become the more powerful energy, it doesn't matter who or what. You don't have to define it. Is it a ghost? Is it some weird entity? Is it some like this? Is it that? Is it, what is it? What is it? It doesn't matter, because you just go to the highest good or the highest power, and the rest is then below and therefore technically irrelevant unless you give it power, because those malevolent forces and energies only have the power that we give it, either by way of silence being acquiescence because we're just completely unaware and oblivious, or we become aware but we become disempowered. So you need to get that to that third stage that I often talk about, which is then walking on water and rising above. And then those things can exist because they're allowed to exist. They have to exist. It's great that they exist under natural law, because by virtue of that, we remember more of who we are and become more and more in our power. Not in an egoic, I'm heroically powerful, but just like in the humble way, the humble kingdom. This is why I titled my YouTube channel The Humble Kingdom. So I hope that makes sense. Let's go to Instagram, back to there, and then I'll go back to the other one. Lost Octave did that one, did that question. What was the next one? I just saw there was another one. Paula here, keyboard malfunction before. Any advice for residents being poisoned without consent? Oh, that was that one, yeah. Yes, everything that I just said. And go after them as well. You can use a lot of different legal and lawful remedy to go after these sorts of people. Oh, hey, Aaron. Aaron's on too. Nice to see you. The pesticides are being dropped into our rainwater tanks, into creeks, over organic gardens. This is happening in the Gold Coast hinterland. Yeah, but like I said, okay, so that's true, but you're becoming aware of something that is very, very like insidious. It's been there for a lot longer than you might think, and in far greater quantities than what you might think. Now, have a think about this. Are you aware of how not so good for you the town water supply is? You know, hazard a guess that you're going to say yes. That's why you're either on rainwater, you invest in water filters, you collect spring water, or whatever. Did you know that stuff, no matter how you get it, unless you're getting primary water from like way, way down deep in the earth, and even then, who knows, it's going to have some form of pesticides or whatever. That's why I like my water filters and that, because it basically gets rid of all of that stuff. But at the same time, are pesticides good for us? No. But going with the airport scanner analogy, what is more powerful? A malevolent force that has designed something by the hand of man, or you, a benevolent force designed by the benevolent force of creation that made you? Okay, just remember what has the balance of power. And if you don't have any other options, you are an alchemist who can make that okay. I'm not saying go and drink Roundup. I'm not saying, oh, well, if that's the case, I don't even have to think or try. I'll just like, that's why I made that slide where I might share it after this, where I've got myself riding unicorns. And it's just like, yeah, I'll just bless it. I don't even have to think about anything. But that's called bypassing. It's not a good thing. The point being is that if you're doing your best, you are beyond having to worry about pesticides. But you can't just go, well, anything goes then. So Roundup, organic food. Roundup, organic food. I'll just drink Roundup. It's easier and cheaper. So that is ego and laziness, and therefore you will experience the repercussions of that. Okay, but just think about this. You might be like, oh, what about all the Roundup being sprayed and this and that, and like stressing. I didn't get I got spring water level 4 this week, not spring water level 9. I only drink level 9 spring water. Oh my God, everything's going. Meanwhile, old mate Joe just down the road is just drinking tap water, totally unaware, but is literally just gone to CrossFit, just crushed a workout, is just gonna go to work now, is gonna look after his family with no problems. Just going to do the best he can in life, give the best that he can, and then he's kind of doing better than you. And you're just like, no, but level 9, it's got to be level 9. Otherwise, everything's shit. And they're spraying the skies and they're doing this. And Joe is just crushing, just going through life. You could argue that they're an NPC, blah, 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 whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's just look at what people get done, even though they're drinking tap water and eating pesticides and all the other stuff, right? So human beings can handle that stuff. So you just got to get your priorities in order. What are you focusing on? What are you losing or allowing your energy to be loosed over? I'm not saying accept that stuff. I'm just saying don't give it more power than it actually has by nature, because you inherently have more power. But you can tip those scales in the wrong direction by the way that you contextualize things. So going after it is a good thing to do via way of, it's all private. So finding the companies, doing things the lawful and legal way. And look, if they're not playing ball, just get everybody that actually cares about it and make sure they don't have trucks or planes to drive or fly. It's not that hard to do. I'm not advocating for vigilante activity or anything like that. Definitely not inciting violence or anything like that. Just saying, no one has the right to cause harm or loss. And a lot of the time it's because people don't recognize their own standing in life. A resident can be treated any way anybody wants to, because a resident is not doesn't have rights. It's same as a citizen or, all that stuff that I've spoken about. So a lot of it is again, it's all about the inner journey. The more you get to know yourself, A, the less that sort of stuff matters, and B, the more you can do about it. So it's kind of like catch-22, everything's awesome, as opposed to catch-22, everything sucks. Being rushed to vets with issues of not eating, lethargic and vomiting. Also 15 beehives have been reported, gone up. So that sort of stuff's not good. You got to be proactive about it too. Remember, whinging about it doesn't achieve anything. Just be proactive and go after it. Look, if it's killing bees, you got to look at, I guarantee you there's more to it than meets the eye. All right. It's not going to be as simple as that, because otherwise all the beehives would be going. You would see swarms everywhere. They'd be leaving it. It's not, we can believe in our resilience and power. However, the environment around is suffering terribly. Yeah. But like I said, just go out with a broader mind and look for where it's not. I really urge people to do that, because we often fall into these narrow-minded views of everything's terrible. But go ahead and look for where it's not. Like I said, go look at Joe down the road who drinks tap water, pesticides, and is probably doing more than you. Not you, the person listening. I just mean just in general. Now, if the environment and animals are being poisoned, okay, sure. I'm not going to argue that. I know that this sort of stuff goes on, but what I'm also going to suggest is go in the same environment, the same area, geographical region, and specifically go looking for where that's not happening, and cross-reference your own data on what is going on. You might be surprised. Animals get sick all the time. Suffering is essential for development. Yeah, that's pretty true as well. But head to your cancel and stand up. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot you can do. Just, you got to get proactive. Let these sorts of things, like I was saying with that other example, be your means to become more of yourself, more in your power. Let it happen for you. Let it happen for the environment, not to the environment. Let things become stronger and more resilient as a result. Because I'm telling you, the reason it's happening in the first place is because people are not strong or resilient enough. I hope you get how that works. A body that is vital and strong will not have an excessive growth of fungus, bacteria, and parasites. That only happens when the host is forgetting who they are. Likewise, because the external environment is simply an expression or a representation of us, The only reason that this kind of bureaucratic bullshit exists, this kind of destruction exists, is because we, the people, are not strong or resilient enough. So we experience an infestation or an infection of fungal, parasitic, bacterial behavior, such as corrupt councils, people spraying and trying to get rid of nature and whatever. That's happening because of us. They are not the problem. We are the problem. So let that allow us to be stronger and more resilient to A, overcome what's in front of us, and B, not allow that kind of, I just call it imbalance. You can call it injustice, but I call it imbalance, that does not allow that imbalance to occur. So just get excited about what's happening. Don't shed tears of like, wow, this is all bad. This shouldn't be happening. Meanwhile, most people are like, this is just affecting how many lattes I can have at the friggin' cafe. So just get proactive, get excited about it, step into the power, and then you'll find the tools that you need to make that happen. You really will. What water filter can you recommend? Also, good detox can help with those parasites. Parasites aren't bad, so don't worry about that. I use a Kangen. I know they're probably the most expensive one you can get, but it also works really well for that sort of stuff. If you are going to get a Kangen, please get it through me, because there's so many, like, honestly vile people out there perverting just perverting water in general, and just like, seriously, like the way people market that's what put me off Kangens and stuff for ages. It's just the people and the energy around it. It's just like gross. It's really disgusting. If you want to get one and you want some people to help you that are actually in it for the right reasons, please contact me, info@tombarnett.tv. Don't message me on social media. I often won't see it. Email me. That's what it's there for. info@tombarnett.tv. And if you just want to go ahead and get one, go on my link tree and you'll get my Kangen distributor code. It's not that I want the business for it. It's just, honestly, I'd rather me get a few $100 than some spaz who is literally just going to lie to you and try to like sell you on stuff that doesn't even exist, and probably do a lot of cocaine with it. Like, I mean, if you want to support those people, go ahead. And I'm telling you what to do. I'm just saying, if you know the energy that I'm talking about and you'd rather it like not be that, please just get one through me. Otherwise, look, there's the structure of water is really important too. That's why I also recommend Grander products to structure things well, because the structure then doesn't allow so much of this sort of stuff to actually bind into, like a lot of the times, just this should be interesting to people. What happens is when water becomes structured really, really poorly, due to many different factors, electromagnetic influence, thought, intention influence, chemicals, pollution, and what have you, what happens is that the structure binds the oxygen, as in it doesn't change, it's still H2O, but the oxygen becomes basically bound up within like it's very dense and hard, and you don't get hydrated off that sort of stuff. And it also, because of the way that the magnetism works, it really holds on to things like, you know, the toxic heavy metals and whatever. So when it's structured right, it actually, like, it kind of, like, to use an analogy, will relax the water. It allows the oxygen to be more bioavailable. It doesn't allow these other paraphernalia called quote unquote toxins to stick to it, and it absorbs into the body a lot better. So that's why I use a Grander rod and Grander products for my stuff. So again, if you're interested in that, email me, info@tombarnett.tv. I'll connect you with Wayne from Grander Water Australia. If you're from another country, I can probably connect you. It's a very good company, and they're not multi-level marketed or anything like that, and they'll really help you out. But just, I'll hook you up personally and you'll get good service from them. That's why, by the way, I'm not endorsed. I bought all their stuff with my own money. I just really like what it is and what it does, and I like their ethics. So email me, I'll put you in touch. Very good. I have a Zazen water filter and had for 11 years. Yeah, they're kind of like, they're nowhere near as good as what I've just mentioned, but it's better than nothing. And the way you work with something, like even a cheaper filter, is more important oftentimes than the quality of the filter. So, and like I said, I think from what you're describing, that's more than a good enough setup. You don't need to do anything more than that. It's endangering organic farms and their certification. Well, again, look, again, like, don't buy into organic farms being all that. Like, the certification these days isn't even very good. you can, honestly, you should actually, this is what everybody should do for their own research. Go ahead and look into the guidelines and regulations of what it takes to become a certified organic farm. And you might be like not so pleasantly surprised as what slips through what you're allowed to do and still maintain a certified organic farm. Case in point, you can call chickens free range chickens because they have a 1 meter by 1 meter space in which to free range. All right. So you got to be really careful about this sort of stuff and not buy into like, and I'm not having to go at anyone for bringing this up in this stream. I just please understand, when I want to take an example like this and expand on it, I'm talking about hundreds or thousands of comments I've heard or received over a period of 10 years, right? So, or longer. So when people fixate so much attention and so much like it matters so much about a certification, that's called outsourcing. I don't know how to look into this stuff myself. I'm too lazy to look into this stuff myself, or too lazy to grow my own food, or too lazy to get to know my farmer. So I outsource, and then I get angry at that's not certified good enough, or they won't be able to certify. Fuck that, who cares? I would rather get food from a farm who doesn't give a shit about organic certification. And I'm a like an organic food advocate. You've heard me talk about that for like years and years and years. However, I would rather get my food from somebody that I know who understands that labels are just labels. Identities are the downfall of all of people's problems in general. And that I just want to know that they have a connection to the land and that they treat things right and they do things well. I don't give a shit about their qualifications, their certifications or anything else, okay? Now, I'm not saying that certified organic is not a good thing and shouldn't exist. I'm just saying if you want to grow beyond outsourcing, start insourcing, and you will have a much, much greater outcome, and you will never be a victim again, ever. Because when I see things like this being brought up, and I'm not talking about here now, I'm talking about in general over my 20 years of being a practitioner and all that sort of stuff, that it's all outsourcing to varying degrees. And all of that becomes victim consciousness, becomes blame, becomes disempowerment, which is way worse for you than Roundup, believe it or not, or anything else like that. You cannot keep sprays, pesticides and that out of your food. It is in the air, it is in the water supply, it is in the collective consciousness in a metaphysical form, it is in everything. And I don't say that to disempower you. I'm saying you can be more vital and healthy than ever before, not just in spite of, but because of the way the world is, because you will actually use that to fuel you to become who and what you are truly here to be. You weren't meant to be born into a pristine paradise where no poisons are ever created or put in anywhere. And I'm saying this because I used to be that guy. And I used to have, when I say I had chronic fatigue, I was an elite level athlete. And then I went to being a potato who could not function or even walk down the street in my early to mid 20s. That makes no sense. So the way that I got beyond that was not changing my diet, taking different supplements, doing some weird mudra yoga meditation thing, or doing Wim Hof, or like certifying myself as a practitioner of that, or praying to some like Allah kind of entity that's just there to harvest my soul. Wink, wink. Jesus. But it was in alchemizing that world that I had been born into and discovering the real world beyond the synthetic overlays, as I was talking about at the beginning of the stream. And now it's like, am I way beyond where I was? Yes. Am I at my full potential? No. And I would never pretend to be. I'm super excited about that journey. I almost want the world. I'm not saying this isn't reality, right? This is a parable or a contextual statement I'm about to make. I almost want the world to become more poisoned and more rampant bullshit to go on so that I can become the most powerful version of myself. Because as soon as it starts getting easy, I might start getting a little lazy. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying that's a general human construct. So please don't take that as like, oh, Tom thinks this. That's kind of stupid. That's not what I think. That's not a literal statement. That is an analogy or a parable. And you should take that from you what you will. I have that one also. I'm thinking unless at times when I don't have the shower filter. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with any of those things. We have shower filter was $100, pretty sure same brand, doesn't filter fluoride, but other heavy metals, smells real different. It's good to do that. It also doesn't make a whole heap of difference in the long run. All right, what else do we got here? All right, what else do we got? What about distilled water with a pinch of Celtic salt? As long as you remineralize it, sure, but distilled water is generally not the best thing to do. You want to remineralize stuff for sure. Do you recommend the hydrogen health water bottle? No, I don't. Don't get things that try to quote unquote add hydrogen from like cheap bottles and stuff. It's not gonna help that much. It could actually be a bit damaging. The more you bastardize water, the more you try to like pull it out of its natural state, the harder it'll like swing back, and the more it'll unsettle your internals. All right. Worrying about smoke in your face is worse than the smoke. Exactly. Thanks, Abbas. That's a great analogy. Nice and simple. Love that. Shit, we've been going for 41 minutes already. All right, good. I'm keeping these to an hour at the most. Always keep cheap drones on hand. When one flies over you in future, crash your drone into it. They can never own the airspace, and it was by accident. See, now you're thinking. So this is what I'm getting at. Like, I've done similar things, and it's very, very fun. Question with context. I'm spiritual, rejected. What? Oh, I am spiritual. I've rejected materialism, and now embracing it again. I believe God mirrors our inner core. How do I balance this with being a model and get paid and heal my money relations? I think I get your question. Just let me just sit on that for a sec. Watching from the UK. Hello, Lisa. There's always a scare tactic out there to keep us in a fear state. Exactly. They're all illusions. I've got a grounded key ring from your recommendation. Cool. So over the victim mentality. Yeah, you got to get over the victim mentality. All right, I'll do this question and then might wrap up the stream. So I'm not, please don't take this as a put down in any way, but when anybody says I'm spiritual, you're not. As in not you, this Benedictus here. I'm just saying like, I get the context of the statement, but just there's even in the wording, anyway, yes, you're on a journey and great, let's honor the journey. But I would even ask yourself, just a thought exercise, why you would phrase it that way. I've rejected materialism and now embracing it again. There's no need to reject materialism. Materialism as in material stuff. I love material stuff. Like this tea bowl, this cost me like $70. This was handmade. I would much, much rather drink out of this than a $2 vessel from Kmart. Does a $2 vessel from Kmart perform the same function as a $70 handmade ceramic clay bowl? Yes, but this gives far more joy. This gives more honor to the creator because it's like somebody put their joy into that. Now, you could say that I'm being materialistic because it's a material possession and it costs more money than something else. But I don't call that materialism. I call that honoring and celebrating life. However, if I'm super attached to it and I'm like, ew, I would never drink out of a Kmart bowl, ew, if I'm like that, then yeah, I'm stuck in materialism. So it's not the act of anything, it's how you relate to things. So sure, I embrace materialism. Osho, for all his, there's a lot of things that are like inverted about that sort of stuff. But he used to say when people said, why do you have 99 Rolls Royces? Aren't you a spiritual teacher? Shouldn't you, not have 99 Rolls Royces? And he was like, why do I have 99 Rolls Royces? Because I like them. And why not? Because I'm very happy with 99 Rolls Royces. But the thing is, I would be equally happy without the 99 Rolls Royces. So that is how you can have materialism without being materialistic, which is it's a paradox, but it's a very fine and subtle line, like everything in life once you start getting into how it's built and structured. But very, very lot of lessons in that as well. Anyway, let's keep going. I believe God mirrors our inner core. I believe so too. How do I balance this with being a model and getting paid to heal my money relations? I think that you mean you are an actual model. So Summer's a model, but she doesn't really model anymore, but she, she's got a good relationship to what beauty is, what it represents, what it's for. as in modeling and all that as well. And there's plenty of jobs she just doesn't do because they just don't suit her or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with being a model. There's nothing wrong with receiving money. There's nothing wrong with anything as it is. It's always how you relate to it. Does it run you? Or do you have a good relationship with things that actually allows you to honor your family, your God, your life, your friends, your gift that you're giving to the world? Or is it all based on something else that's only to get stuff or only to attain the material version of your kingdom, which is related to things like status, money, symbolism, Bugattis and things like that? Because that's just the mirror image, fictional version of the real version. So because we have that and it's mirroring something, there has to be another version that is very, very real. It is what we're meant to be experiencing. We're not meant to go without wealth. We just need to contextualize what that wealth really is and what it is not. And if we fixate on the wrong thing, we can experience, we will experience dis-ease. But when we can see things for what they are and embrace the things that are of true value, well, look, you'll never be or go without, and you might have material things, but you will not be spiritually poor or anything like that at the same time. So yeah, I like your question. The Osho thing about his toys and materialism does not cut it for me. Yours about the handmade bowl is more like it. Yeah, well, it's just, they're all just analogies. Like none are the answer. They're just fingers pointing to the moon. Don't focus on the finger or you missed all the heavenly glory. We have 44. That's a good number. This is a talk. Thank you. I'm enjoying your logic. Cool. You're welcome. You always inspire me and get me thinking. You're welcome. Glad that helps. All right. I'll just see if there's anything left on Instagram and then we'll go. We did that one. Steve Maxwell said that to me. Got to give the guy credit. Oh, Steve Maxwell said that to you. Okay. Wasn't your saying. Doesn't take much to come up with a saying like that. There's plenty more like that. I used to say that the thought of eating a bad food and thinking it's bad for you is worse than any food you can eat. So a lot of people have said the same thing. Don't worry about that. Restructuring/structured water thoughts. Yeah, I just gave my thoughts on that. I really like the grander stuff. Is it the only thing that does it? No, there are many good products that do things. The best thing, of course, is us. So let's imagine that this is a glass of water. Shameless plug for my program, Beyond Breath. I priced that really, really fairly at 60 Australian dollars, which is like 2 cents in other countries. But I go into exercises in how to become more aware of and even develop your personal energy fields, which is nothing new. It's just your chi, your energy. And when you can feel that between your hands, what you do then is you place, say, a vessel of water between your hands. And when you give it good thought, good intention, and good feeling, you are restructuring that, not just in a harmonic sense, but to you. And then that's more than any of these devices can do because it's specific to you. So yeah, you can do it for free. Perfect Aminos. If you mean the supplement, that's fine. Do you use EMF protection on mobile devices or any others? No, I am my EMF protection. It's not that I'm against it or I wouldn't use it. It's just that I just don't. If you can let it go, it's not materialism. Yes, exactly. Views on the current rise in the Christianity dogma. Yeah, it's a big psyop. It's actually Jason was talking about that briefly on the Alpha Vedic podcast. Like I say, I'm only half an hour into it, but liking it so far. Cool. All right, I might just wrap it there then. Good stream. Actually, what I'll do, I'm not going to answer any more questions because I've done that. I'll just continue playing my song in my way. Whoop. And maybe can I? All right, ready? I'll just play this for like another couple of minutes. I'll bring that back on and then I will sign off. So for those that weren't here at the start, this was a track I wrote about 8 years ago. It's a 16-minute prog rock track. But this first section isn't the prog rock. It's more just an ambient, just all guitar. I played all the instruments on it. I wrote it all. And it's cool. It's just interesting to hear something that you wrote like ages ago. All right, that's where the heavier side of it comes in. Anyway, you could listen to that in your own time if you like. That was called "In My Way," which I wrote 8 or 9 years ago or something. My first ever studio recording, so it brings back some memories, which is cool. But yeah, like I said, once I get this space set up, I'll be able to play guitar on that at the start of streams again, because a lot of people ask about that. Thank you for joining. Hope you enjoyed that. Just remember, all my streams end up on tombarnett.tv on my website. Please, if you want to support, go ahead and get Beyond Breath from tombarnett.tv. It will do you a lot of good. And yeah, when streams go down, like off of Instagram and that, they all go on tombarnett.tv on my website, and also my Telegram under the same name, my YouTube, which is at The Humble Kingdom, and my Facebook. They always get the long form. If they get deleted from anywhere, they're always on tombarnett.tv. That song sounded like Tool. Yeah, well, Tool's obviously influence. You kind of can't help your influences coming through. But yeah, thanks for joining. I'm going to end the Instagram one. See you later. And Facebook and YouTube. Thank you guys for joining, and I'll see you very, very soon. Oh, and shout out to Alex Zek, Way Forward. Thanks for the shirt.